Entrepreneurs earning 10 times more are not working 10 times harder. They're working smarter. Have you ever heard something like this before and you're still wondering, what the heck does that really mean? If yes, then stay tuned. You're going to love today's episode of Uncomplicate Your Business. I'm your host, Rachel Cook, and I've been a business growth strategist for women entrepreneurs to help them create more ease and less stress in their businesses for over a decade. And today I'm excited to share with you the 6 lessons or mistakes, but the lessons I learned the hard way along my own journey of creating and coaching multiple 6-figure businesses. So if you're just joining me for the first time, welcome. And as we dive into today's topic, I would love to hear from you. So today's question is, do you get frustrated when people say that you need to work smarter, not harder? Just share yes or no with me in the comments if you're joining me via Facebook Live, because if you are saying yes, I completely understand. This is one of those concepts that used to frustrate me so much. I was raised by entrepreneurial parents who worked so incredibly hard to grow their business. And the idea of hard work was drilled into me from such a young age that it was important to have a strong work ethic. And I'm sure you can probably relate. I'm seeing a lot of yes, absolutely's. And that is no mistake that we're talking about this today. We have been indoctrinated with the idea that to create success, to have a successful career, to create a successful business, you have to work hard. You have to put in the sweat equity. We have to actually sweat and put our blood, sweat, and tears into our career or our business. But I want to approach this topic a little differently today, because at some point, we've all looked up to a hard-working man or woman, a parent, a grandparent, an aunt or uncle, a mentor, and we saw them just work so hard, put in so much blood, sweat, and tears into their career or their business, but they only were able to reach a certain level. They were only able to reach a certain level of success. So if the idea of working hard equals success, then every hardworking person you've ever looked up to in your life would be financially successful. So it is a big mindset shift to unlock working hard and success. And this really came to me as I've gone through this entrepreneurial journey, as I've coached so many people through this entrepreneurial journey, because at some point, working harder actually creates a bottleneck in your business. It creates this area where you can no longer grow. You put a ceiling on how much growth you can experience in your business. The truth is, we all have the same 168 hours a week. And there is just a point where working more is not the answer. Working more is not going to help you get where you want to go. So if working harder and more hustle isn't the answer to creating that sustainable success you've been looking for in your business, then you find yourself in this interesting paradox. How do you get to that next level in your business? How do you break through that elusive 6-figure mark that so many of us have on our vision boards? And I know you do, because I know what my clients are telling me. They know that at 6 figures, that is the point where now they can pay themselves a comfortable salary. That is the point where they can save for retirement, or they can buy that dream house, or they can put their kids through college. 6 figures is not just a number that we all pull out of thin air because it sounds sexy. It's a number that to a lot of us represents financial freedom. It represents this business being a viable path, a viable alternative to doing the traditional 9-to-5 job, right? So we want to talk about today some of the lessons I have learned on how to separate this idea between working harder and working smarter, and the lessons I have learned along the way as I have had to embrace this in my own entrepreneurial journey. So if you are joining me, I'm so excited to see you guys joining me on the Facebook Live. I would love for you to take a second and share this with any entrepreneur you know who is a hard-working hustler, who's out there grinding it out, and you can see that they need a little reality check, a little loving reality check, that it's time to think about building success with sanity. It's time to be building success in a more sustainable way. And that is what we are talking about today. So if you know anybody like that, feel free to click share and share with them. Okay, so if you're just joining us now that we're a few minutes in, welcome to Uncomplicate Your Business, a weekly show where I share how you can keep things simple and strategic to create sustainable success on your terms. I'm your host, Rachel Cook, business growth coach for women entrepreneurs. And today we're going behind the scenes in this journey of growing your business from the very, very beginnings to multiple six figures and the lessons I've had to learn along the way to separate out creating sustainable success from more and more hustle. Because as I shared at the beginning, more hustle is not the answer. So let's dive right into these lessons I want to share with you today. The first thing I truly believe is that starting my business with a container for how much I could work was a blessing in disguise. So if you know my story, then you know that when I started this business, I only had about 25 hours a week to work. In fact, it was a little bit less than that because I was piecing together childcare for my 1-year-old twins when I was really getting serious about my business. And having that container of only 15, 20 hours a week, it really actually gave me an advantage, even though I thought it was a huge disadvantage. I was still in the paradigm that working harder was the answer, that I needed more hours to work in order to achieve my goals in my business. And in that first year of my business, my goals were to replace my former corporate consulting salary, to replace a 6-figure salary with the work I was doing on my own in my own consulting and coaching business. So I thought I was at a huge disadvantage by saying I only have 15, 20, 25 hours a week to work because I needed childcare. It turns out that doing less with more focus is the first lesson you have to learn if you're learning how to work smarter, not harder. For me, this meant in those hours I did have available, it wasn't about just working as fast as I can. And this is a big myth. A lot of people think, well, you don't have much time. You have to be as productive as possible. You have to learn how to work as fast as you possibly can. And while that is helpful, it doesn't always lead to your best work. It doesn't always lead to high level work. And it doesn't always lead to the results you're looking for. What you want to do is instead shift your focus on revenue generating activities. Revenue generating activities. These are the activities in your business that directly correlate to results. So when I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, I see them feeling overwhelmed because they're spending so many hours in their business. But I can almost guarantee, because I have said this so often, that if you were to sit down and track everything that you're doing in your business, you would find that a lot of those hours you're toiling away behind the scenes in your business, it's actually busy work that's not leading to results. So because I had this constraint put on me, I was ruthless with how I spent my time. I only invested my time and energy in activities that I knew were going to lead to results. That means I did not spend hours every day on social media. I wasn't joining all these different groups, trying to get clients there. I wasn't focused on going to every single networking event. I got laser focused on what I now call my business sweet spot. So if you've ever taken my sweet spot quiz, it's all about this philosophy that you can hone in on what you do best and how you do your best work so that you can really get laser focused in your business. And when you understand your business sweet spot, and specifically your sweet spot theme, you have the tools you need to create one core marketing channel, to focus in on one core marketing channel, to create one signature offering, and then to focus in on one sales strategy. So I focused where I knew I could get the best results. I knew that for me, my one core marketing channel, even when I was just getting started, Facebook was pretty much the only social media game out there. But even now, Facebook is my core marketing channel. It is my core marketing channel. The second thing I focused in on was one signature offering. And I see so often people are trying to create more and more and more new offerings, but the challenge is each time you're creating a new offering, you're having to learn how to market that offering, how to sell that offering, and get it in front of the right people. But by focusing on one signature offering, you get better results faster because all of your energy is going in one place. And finally, learning one clear sales strategy. So just by honing in, again, putting all my effort, all my focus on doing less with more focus, honing in on one core marketing channel, which for me is still Facebook. That's why I have Facebook Lives every week. It's why I'm running Facebook ads. Facebook is definitely my core marketing platform. Then having one signature offering, mine is Sweet Spot Strategy. I've been running it for over 8 years now. And one sales strategy. For me, this has changed. It used to be having one-on-one conversations. I'm going to talk in a little bit about how that shifts as you grow your business. But having one in each of these buckets, one marketing channel, one signature offering, one core marketing strategy is what allows you to grow to 6 figures and beyond really easily without hustling all the time. So I want to ask you, could you grow to 6 figures with just your existing offerings without working more? This is a tough question to answer, but if the answer is no, there's no way I could grow to 6 figures with just my core offering, then you've created a bottleneck. You've created that ceiling in your business, and working harder won't fix a business design problem. Now, the next lesson I learned the hard way was you don't have to do it all by yourself. Teamwork truly makes the dream work. And this is something I had such a hard time with. Because I am a perfectionist. I am slightly a control freak. And I had a hard time letting other people into my business, into my baby, right? And I'm sure you could probably relate to this feeling of, oh gosh, I know I'm overwhelmed and I need help, but I need to let go of control. So CEO does not mean chief everything officer. CEO does not mean chief everything officer. It's all about streamlining and systematizing and building a team that can then implement those ideas for you. They can take those strategies and take them off your plate. So building a team was a big lesson that I've had to learn, and I'm honestly still learning. I've taken my hits in this area. When I started hiring my team, the first thing I started doing was hiring for my biggest areas of weakness and areas that I knew were actually creating busy work I didn't need. So for me, the first area that I needed off my plate was customer service. I needed someone to manage my inbox. I needed someone to manage my calendar. I needed someone to make sure that the client invoices were paid and that we knew how many sessions somebody had left. All of those basic admin customer service types of tasks. Now, this was before we had really cool tools like Acuity scheduling or Calendly, where it was really easy to schedule somebody, or before there were things like Honeybook or Dubsado, where it was easy to manage things like getting your contract signed and keeping up with sessions. Back then, we had to keep it up in a spreadsheet, but still, I knew that was a block that was taking up probably 5 to 10 hours of my week. And when you only have 15, 20, 25 hours a week, you got to get that off your plate. So again, your time is focused on revenue generating activities. So that was a big area I hired for first, admin and customer service. The next area I hired for was another bottleneck for me, something that was taking me way too many hours. And I knew that if I just hired somebody who could get it off my plate, they would have the skills to get it done really quickly. For me, this was tech, and you can probably relate to this. Have you ever run into tech problems with your business? Like you don't know how to put something on your website, or you're trying to figure out something behind the scenes with your payment system, and you don't know these systems in and out. So you spend hours and hours and hours trying to get it all set up. But if you just hired somebody, they would have it done like that. They would completely be able to take that worry off your plate. So those were the two areas I hired for first, customer service, admin, and then the techie stuff. Because of my business, it was essential that I wasn't wasting all my time trying to connect a PayPal button to a checkout page. I needed someone who could go ahead and do that. The next area I hired for was a project manager because I knew I needed someone who could step in and keep all the day-to-day activities running for my business. And by day-to-day, I mean email, scheduling, dealing with new clients, onboarding new clients, making sure anybody we had outsourced to was on track, making sure I was on track. There was a point, and there is a point, where you actually need someone to help you stay focused. And that's the beauty of my right-hand lady, Amber Kinney. She actually works with me in my business. We map out the plan. She puts it all into a project management system, and then she's able to help me stay focused on completing those important tasks, completing those big projects so that we can get the results from them. The areas I struggled in this was overhiring. And this might happen as you start to scale, especially as you start to approach high 5 figures, low 6 figures, is you, again, have become a bottleneck. And I remember scrambling, trying to get things off my plate. And because I was a little bit in a panic, I hired areas that I didn't necessarily need to hire for. So there was a point where my payroll was over $8,000 a month, nearing $10,000 a month by the time I was done with this. And I went through about 2 years of that extremely high, I say payroll, it was really invoices from all of these different service providers. But the problem is they weren't actually able to help me generate more revenue. So there comes a point where when you're making new hires, you need to make sure that those people actually pay for themselves. And this is a lesson I had to learn the hard way. So we ended up scaling back because I realized the roles I had hired for, and in my world, I had hired a designer on retainer, I had a copywriter on retainer. They actually weren't 100% aligned with our revenue plan, which meant I was spending a lot of money I didn't need to spend. But what did pay for itself was anytime I hired somebody who could take those easy tasks off my plate, especially in the early days. So question for you, do you have help with those $10 an hour tasks? And I say $10 an hour tasks because I'm talking about things that are, again, customer service, managing your inbox, managing your calendar, making sure appointments are scheduled and contracts are signed, following up with clients, basic customer service admin, or basic tech type of help. Do you have someone in place to take that off your plate so that you can get focused on the revenue generating activities? Big lesson to learn there. Okay, my third lesson I learned the hard and expensive way was what got you here won't get you there. What got you here won't get you there. And this is a big thing that I had to go through, especially I remember this shift happened for me, especially as I was crossing the 6-figure mark and wanted to double that. I wanted to get to multiple 6 figures. I wanted to get to $250,000, $300,000 a year, because at this point I had to make a huge shift from working one-on-one. The first 3 years of my business was all working one-on-one. Before I took my business online in 2011, I was predominantly consulting in person, actually going into people's businesses and working with them face to face, not just Zoom to Zoom or Skype to Skype, but face to face. And it was very referral based. It was very word of mouth and organic, which was a great way to start a business. And I know so many of you are in that place where you've organically built up this great business over time. You are so grateful, and I'm still so grateful for the people who recommend you and love working with you. But again, you hit that ceiling. You hit that ceiling where you simply can't work more hours. And you could try just raising your prices, but fundamentally something needs to change if you want to do something like grow your business 2 or 3 times the size that it is. So for me, this meant making that big shift from one-on-one to one-to-many. And I did this with a signature program that's called Sweet Spot Strategy. You might have heard about it. But what needed to happen as I launched Sweet Spot Strategy is I needed to be smart. I'm a breadwinning mom. Like, I cannot just say, okay, no longer taking on one-on-one clients, and then just hope that I will be able to market and sell out this one program from the very beginning. It took a little bit of time for me. So it took time for me to kind of transition from being 100% one-on-one to tapering that down, and at the same time growing up the audience I would need, the marketing I would need, learning the marketing and sales I would need to fill a group online program. And that's a big shift. And I see this with a lot of people. If you've been growing an organic, referral-based, word-of-mouth business, but now you want more control over your income, you want more control over your schedule, you want to have more freedom in your business. And if you are running a word-of-mouth, referral-based business, you probably aren't feeling that. It's time to make that shift. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to cut off your primary revenue source. It just means you need a plan to taper down the high touch, high level work and then start implementing the marketing and the sales systems so that you can start filling out that group program, that leverage program you have, the training program you have, passive income products that you have, because those will require more than just word of mouth. They will require actually getting out there and growing your business and marketing yourself consistently. So this was the big lesson I had to learn here about working smarter in this area. It was all about building that system so that I could consistently generate new potential clients in my business, so that every time I went to open the doors to something, people were there ready and waiting, as opposed to being very reactive and hoping that people were going to send me referrals. So the question to you today: do you have a marketing system in place that is bringing in new potential clients through your doors or to your website each and every week? If you don't have that marketing system and you're depending 100% on organic word of mouth, then we might have to fix that in order for you to make this big transition to 6 figures and beyond. Okay, the next lesson I had to learn, again, the hard and expensive way, is to embrace, rinse, and repeat. Embrace, rinse, and repeat. I think one of the things about entrepreneurs that's so challenging for us, it's actually a double-edged sword. The thing that makes us so great at business is we love being creative, we love coming up with new ideas, we love experimenting, but this can also work against us because it can mean that you're constantly recreating the wheel, you're constantly starting over, instead of building systems in your business that continue to do the work for you. Okay. So I think of this as building an asset in my business. I'm going to do the hard work up front, and then that hard work is going to continue to pay off for me over and over and over again. So in my business, it's looked like creating first a signature program. A signature program is an asset. It should be something that you create once, you put that hard work into it once, and then you're able to continue to enroll new clients into it again and again and again and again. So for me, Sweet Spot Strategy is my signature program. And over the last few years, we have generated over $1 million in sales in Sweet Spot Strategy. We've had over 500 students go through it in the last few years alone. So this is an asset for my business. Now, does that mean it's totally hands off? Absolutely not. It just means that the hard part, the heavy lifting, I did once, and now I only need to go in there to maintain it. I only need to go in there to do some updates here and there, to coach my clients inside the program. But what did take me, hundreds and hundreds of hours to create now only takes me maybe an hour or two a week to maintain. That's pretty amazing, and it gives a huge return on your time and energy investment. The next asset I think about is your marketing and your sales systems. Your marketing and your sales systems are something that, again, you should be creating once. You should be creating, and then all you have to do is refine them. Then all you have to do is make sure, track that they're working, but they're consistently bringing new potential clients in the door and also converting them into paying clients for you. Now, does this mean that it's all automated? Not necessarily. For us, for a long time, this simply meant that the first launch, I remember the first launch for Sweet Spot Strategy, I had so much anxiety. I was so stressed out. I was up late at night writing emails. My husband was like taking the babies on walks so I could record launch videos. It was craziness. It was absolute craziness. But after that, I had these assets that made it easier to launch again. I had a video series I could use over again. I had emails I could use over again. I'd already written a sales page. So instead of starting over, I had something to start from. I had something that I could continue to refine and make better. So this is how things get easier over time. You do the hard work once, And then all you have to do is maintain those systems. So my question for you today is, are you creating those rinse and repeat systems in your business, or are you constantly starting over with new programs or new services that you have to now learn how to sell and market over and over and over again? I hope you're doing some rinse and repeat, because that is definitely one of the keys to working smarter. The next lesson was so challenging for me because I am inherently not a risky person, but it's this new mindset I've had to adopt that I can create the money I need to invest in myself, in my skills, and my business. Now, I'm going to just share with you that when I first got started, I was somebody, I hated being in debt. I had zero credit card debt. I didn't want to go into debt starting my business. I had heard so many horror stories about that. And I'm still somebody who runs a zero debt business. I don't like having that kind of thing hanging over my head. That's just my personal preference here. And I also didn't have a huge savings account. I didn't have a whole lot when I was making that transition into my business. But what I had to learn early on is I needed help. I needed support. And there comes a point where you simply don't need another course. You don't need to just Google all the answers all the time. You actually need to invest in getting the answers, because that's the fastest way to get the answers that are going to help you move forward. So I started shifting my mindset. Instead of, I don't have the money for this, I can create the money for this. I started looking at new investments and realizing, oh, if I need to work with a mentor, I only need 3 more clients in order to pay for that. If I need to work with a team who can implement this sales strategy for me, I only need to make X number of sales. I realized I could create the money I needed to invest in my business. And you need to make investments in your business. There is no business that operates without having some investment put into it. And there's a couple of areas you need to think about. First of all, you need to work on yourself, and this includes your mindset. Now, I can make a whole other show just about the mindset shifts you need to go through, but the challenges you're going to face as an entrepreneur, I have seen them knock people out of the game before they ever really got started in their business. Things like criticism, a negative comment from somebody, a really crappy email from somebody, things like somebody copying your work. These are things that we're all going to come up against. And in fact, the longer you're in, the more you're going to see these things. And no one is immune to them. There's no way you can keep everybody happy, right? Like, you're not a jar of Nutella. Someone's going to be upset at you at some point. Those were some of the mindset challenges I had to overcome. And I needed to learn how to work through those so that I could be more resilient. And now I'm a little bit like Teflon. Like, everything just slides right off. I'm not as stressed about it. It doesn't leave me crying for a whole week, which it used to. The next thing you need to invest in is your own skill set. Your own skill set. You need to be not only excellent at what you do as a practitioner. So if you are a body worker, you need to be the best body worker you can be. If you're a yoga teacher, you need to be the best yoga teacher you can be. If you are a designer, you need to be amazing when it comes to design. But there's other skills you need as a CEO. There's leadership skills you need. There's marketing skills you need. You have to be willing to invest to get those skills sharp. Because if they're not, it's going to be really hard to make a business successful long term. And the final thing you need to be ready to invest in is the tools and team to grow. This, again, is one of those things that I've learned the hard way. And I've also seen a lot of people make these mistakes. I see a lot of people go out there who are saying, what's the cheapest, easiest way for me to do X, Y, Z? What is the free tool I can use for social media? Or what is the free tool I can use to grow my website? These are things that maybe they'll help you at the very, very beginning, but there comes a point where you outgrow free tools and you actually need to invest in the right tools. The right tools can make a huge difference. And I've seen plenty of people, especially as their business starts to grow, after they get out of, the very beginning stages and their business starts to grow, where their business is kind of held together by duct tape and thread, and the systems they've tried to just piece together aren't able to keep up with what they need long term. And this is something that we're always working on. Like behind the scenes, you need the infrastructure to hold up that business, right? I just heard from my friend Amy Porterfield. Her website went down a couple times last week. And this is something everybody, as you grow, the infrastructure needs to grow. You have to invest in the behind the scenes infrastructure to support that business, or else it'll kind of collapse in on itself. So you have to be ready to make those big investments. And you have to know that you can create the money for that. Okay, final lesson here. Whew, this is a long one for me. This is a lesson that is hard for me to learn, because I was somebody who believed I could just figure it all out on my own. I could figure it all out on my own. And I really pride myself on being super resourceful, on being somebody who can go out there and just get their hands dirty and figure it out on my own. But like I said, when I started this whole experience of being an entrepreneur, I was limited by time. I didn't have a ton of time and energy to figure things out. So me just being resourceful, me Googling away, wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. It was going to lead to a lot of wasted time, a lot of months where I wasn't generating the revenue I needed to generate. So I learned early on that you can either try to Google your way to success, which is fine. Like there's a lot of answers out there. Pretty much every answer you want is Googleable, but it means you got to know the right things to ask. And you might have heard the phrase, you know what you know what you don't know, but you don't know what you don't know. This is why a mentor is so incredibly powerful, because they know what you don't know that you don't know, actually. They know all of those other things that you can't possibly be aware of because you haven't gone through them before. So there are so many ways that you can grow your business. And the biggest reason I see people get stuck and tap their potential, they kind of hit the ceiling of where they can take their business, is they're trying to duct tape together tactics and strategies, and they never have that big picture plan that shows them how it all fits together. So this would be like if you were going to go out there and build your dream house. You've never built a house before. You have known nothing about construction or architecture, but you start hiring people. You start hiring the decorator, and you start hiring the plumber, and you start hiring the roofer, and then you hire the electrician. And you don't realize that because you never consulted an architect or a general contractor, that maybe you're doing these things backwards. And then you are left with a lot of mistakes and a lot of expensive things that have to be reworked because you didn't know what you didn't know. So it's so important to take the time to find a mentor who has been there and done that, a mentor who has walked the path you want to walk, because they can share with you, they can shine a big light on what you don't know that you don't know. And this is priceless. Yes, you may have to pay that mentor, but they're going to help you avoid so many major mistakes and save you so much time on this journey that you might have spent spinning your wheels trying to just figure it all out on your own. And along the same lines is surrounding yourself with a mastermind. Now, if you don't know what a mastermind is, this is a group of peers that come together to problem solve, to support one another. And one of the other challenges, along with not having a mentor, that I see for a lot of entrepreneurs is they're trying to get feedback from the wrong people. They're trying to ask for help from their friend, from their girlfriend down the street, or from their best friend, from their old coworker, from their parents, from their sister. And the truth is, those people are not going to give you good advice. Like, there's just no way that someone who is not on this path with you, who doesn't understand entrepreneurship, who might not understand your business, who definitely doesn't understand marketing and sales, those people are not the right people to be asking for helpful advice. This is why having business BFFs is so incredibly important. Whether it's an informal mastermind of BFFs where you get together and support one another and bounce ideas around, or a more formalized mastermind where you're actually working together with a mentor to collectively do the things that'll take your business to the next level, a mastermind can make a huge, huge impact in helping you grow your business. So if you enjoyed this episode today, then I'd love to invite you to check out the CEO Accelerator. Now, the CEO Accelerator is a mastermind experience I am creating where you can work together with me and 12 other amazing women entrepreneurs who are ready to grow beyond 6 figures in their business without working harder. If you've seen some success on your own and you know that you need a mentor and a real support system of peers to help you grow to that next level of success, I would love for you to check out the details and apply at rachelcook.com/CEO Accelerator. So thanks again for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Uncomplicate Your Business, and I can't wait to share with you a surprise episode coming up soon next week, all about the mindset shifts you need to make as a 6-figure CEO. Can't wait to talk to you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.